Welcome to this Shift Your Identity reading. These are going to be three important things that are going to be vital for maintaining that identity shift or for really establishing it and keeping it running strong. Because when we shift our identity from limited self, our personal, mental, emotional, physical self, and we move it up into our identity as awareness, identity as conscious spiritual presence. When we do that, we become that observer, that neutral place of our life, that observation tower, where we can then be beyond our thoughts, beyond our emotions, beyond the day-to-day information that can push and pull us in different directions. We really get up and out of the tornado. And now we're up here in the land of Oz, and what a colorful, beautiful, magical place it really is. So, you want to shift your identity from yourself to your spirit. Another way to say this is being born again, being born in spirit. The Bible says it like that. Not to quote the Bible, but why not sometimes? Being born in spirit, okay? Or what? It's also called spiritual awakening. Spiritual awakening. 12-step programs call it that. That's the point of the 12 steps. It culminates with having had a spiritual awakening as a result of those steps. You can call it whatever you want, but the bottom line is it really is just choosing to be consciousness, awareness, spirit. And I talk about that in my free course, Identity Repositioning. You can get that online on my website. I'll put the description for it down below. When you are exposed to information, you read through it mindfully and you think about it. You know this. Information leads to transformation. So if you go ahead and get into that free course of mine or watch some of my other videos about identity repositioning, shifting your identity or identity shifting, and or the ones about spiritual awakening and that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, any of those videos are going to help to foster the recognition of your identity as a spiritual being in the world. And it's just going to empower you and give you more freedom and more wellness and more peace. Now let's get into this reading. Let's see what these three things are that are going to be awesomely important to either establish or expand our identity shift. Now the first thing we're looking at is, so good, look at this thing, the blue Messiah. What the heck is a blue Messiah? Well, the first answer is, it is an abstract definition or description of what we really are up here. We call it the blue Messiah because, first of all, Messiah sounds like Christ, right? So it also is something that's beyond the world of what we're used to, because you don't see these things when you're going into the supermarket now, do you? You don't see these things when you go to drop your child off at school. There's not a blue Messiah just sitting there like, yo. Now look, this is a placeholder, the blue Messiah. It's a placeholder for us to sort of point to or talk about our spiritual observation space, our real identity as this higher self, spiritual self. Now, I call it blue Messiah because of the blue chakra. Now, what is the chakras? They are simply ways of talking about our spiritual body. Look, just like we talk about our physical body with arms, legs, eyes, we talk about our spiritual body, since it doesn't have any physical form, we talk about it with colors, okay? There's 7 different colors. We can get into that in another video. But the blue Messiah, the blue, is the throat chakra, that's the light blue, and the indigo blue, the darker blue, is the third eye chakra. And I'm going to talk about those in this reading because this information is going to help you more and more recognize this identity up here, this identity as a spiritual being, as an observation, as an awareness. And the more information you have, the more facets of descriptions that you have about this spiritual presence that we are, the easier it's going to be for you to shift your identity to being that, to recognize your identity as that, and to maintain your identity. Maintain that shift in identity. So look, the blue Messiah is first about the throat chakra. And the throat chakra, when we're talking about the spiritual stuff of our spiritual body, that is the energy of communication out into the world. Hear me use it. I'm sending it. Lots of energy in the world. Watch me share it, see me feel it. Lots of energy in the world. So, the blue Messiah, the light blue, is just my words. The way that I use my wordy words. What am I doing? I'm infusing them with emotion, with light, with the light bright that you see here in the card. Okay, now let's go into another little bit of this. So, it's about using your words in a mindful, emotional, light-emitting way. If you can feel the energy behind your words, then you're going to feel that space where you've shifted your identity to, that conscious space. And you're not going to get stuck in your personal self. You're not going to get stuck in your emotions. You're not going to get stuck in your thoughts. You're not going to get stuck in what's going on around you. You're going to stay shifted in your identity up here, in that conscious fourth dimension, that awareness, that spirit, because you're riding the wave of your words in the world. And that again is what the Blue Messiah is here to show us as a placeholder. Look how it does it. It's expanding all of that energy. That's what all the blue lines are. That is like a little mini sun, a little mini God. Not that we are like fighting God, like, oh, it's God and then me. No, it just means like God enters the world through each person and then is expressing itself like this intangible white light through each person to embody them. So we are all little agents of God, little expressions of God, 7 billion expressions of one white light power in the world. And as you connect with your words and your descriptions, what's going to happen is the emotional energy that you let it out with is going to lift and raise your vibration. You can feel it. You can feel it. You feel it like a little spine vibration. You feel it like a little flowing of the words and the descriptions, like you know what you're saying, like it feels so good to speak it. And what's happening is you are impregnating or infusing or planting seeds in the world for these things you're describing to come back. Because look, all of this yellow and all of this orange is all intelligent, joyful reflection coming back at you. You can guarantee that if you are cluing in on what you really love, what you really enjoy, and you are talking about it and sharing it, then you're going to get that back in your personal life through situations, circumstances. And as that continues to happen, oh my God, it's just going to infuse you with more light because you're going to be like, oh my God, this is really happening. God is really real. I'm really an agent of God. I'm really shifted my identity from a personal self to an unlimited consciousness and spirit. And my friends, it is important to know and do that while you're here on earth. We want to shift our identity out of our decaying, changing, breaking down personal self that is getting older, right? We want to get out of that personal vehicle and become one with our true identity as consciousness, awareness, spirit, so that when we shed this body, we will be knowing who we really are. We're not going to get attached to our identity as a sleepy little self, as a mental, emotional, and physical being in the world. We're going to come up out of that seed, out of that flower of ourself, and we're going to become the blossom of God, Source, Universe, conscious awareness, observer in the world. So the Blue Messiah represents that. Let's go to another card and see what we're going to see. Oh, this video's got a lot of bright light in it. It doesn't really matter, does it? Who cares if it's got bright light or if it's got shadows or whatever? Let's just roll with it. Let's just be here. Let's just feel that vibration. Let's look at the second card about something important to know about regarding shifting our identity from ourself to our spirit and maintaining it in the world. Oh, the false God upside down. Okay, so the first thing we want to say about this really is that we have gotten rid of our false God. We've gotten rid of our personal ego, our personal self. And this is about the ego. The important thing here to know is that the ego is not alive. The self is just a set of information, a set of data. With my program, my free course, Identity Repositioning, I go into detail about how the self is just a set of details that is really rotating around our conscious magnetic space of awareness. And you can also see how that's described in one of my videos called Magnetic Self-Awareness. That's going to show you in a very easy way in a very metaphorical and illustrative way what it's like to be this spiritual consciousness inside of a personal self, or to be the spiritual star that has this bunch of planets called your personal self, your personal details, circling around it. So this is like all of the stuff that makes you a personal person, the false god. I was born in Connecticut. I owned a Huffy 10-speed bike. All the little differences of our personal self can lead to little battles. Lots of little selves pit up against other selves. My sports team is better than yours. 10-speed bikes are the best. If you have a BMX bike, there's something wrong with you. Blah, 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 blah. Connecticut is the best. Oh my God, everybody should be in Connecticut or else. See how it works? When we have our identity trapped in our personal self, we tend to take sides. And then we have that false god, that fight, that two-power syndrome, which is a false god. Duality is a false god. Look what I'm saying. If you tell yourself the story that there are two powers, bing, 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 two powers fighting each other, then it's troublesome, because then you're going to keep getting reflections back of a two-power system. So instead, we want to denounce the false god, our ego, and we want to get rid of it by even being a threat, by defining it as a set of data. And you know this is true. Think about it. Really, which is the real Brian anyway? Is it my physical self at 5 years old, my physical self at 6 years old, 7 years old? You'll see this in my course, Identity Repositioning, that it shows you that the self is just a set of information that keeps changing, gets added to, subtracted from, altered. We can't be that thing. That's the creation. Those are the moment-to-moment data that's created, called our personal self. So the other thing to notice here is look at the 11 on the face. What's funny about this? I'll tell you something interesting. When I was in Albuquerque, New Mexico, when I was waking up spiritually, I was starting to see signs of 11:11, like on clocks, things like that. Then I noticed I had major events happen to me on 11:11 or at 11:11. One of them was a big relationship ended on November 11th. Now, I had been seeing 11:11 for a while, but I didn't make that connection. I ended up seeing 11:11 tattooed on a guy's face, boom, boom, just like this. Once I started seeing the 11:11 more and more, and I started to put the little signs together, the little coincidences, I was like, oh my God, wow, she left me. Now look, back then I was dependent as a self, dependent on being in a relationship in order to feel whole and complete. I wasn't whole and complete yet, meaning I didn't get out of myself and into my spiritual identity. I didn't shift my identity into that conscious awareness space so that I could see that my completeness is really Brian as a spiritual being and Brian as a personal set of data. That this is the completeness. And that is now coming back into my reflection of my reality so that I can share this message about 11:11, about the synchronicities of sequential numbers and how they can catch us off guard. They can wake us up to the moment. And that is really their core help that they give us. If you notice 555, then that's going to snap you out of what you were doing for a second, perhaps. It should. It might. It could. It'll snap you out and you'll be like, wait, oh my God, that's weird, 555. And when we're in that weird space of knowing, we shake off our false God, we shake off ourself, and we have that little experience of being in the spiritual dimension. And that can help us to maintain as a reminder, as a little alarm system. The clock gives us that 555, 444, 111. It's a little alarm system. You'll see it on license plates. You'll see it on receipts when you go to the supermarket. That's a little reminder that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. So it keeps us wide awake. And look, we're not going to put any power in those numbers. They're just data. They're just cards. They don't mean anything. We're making the meaning out of it. Remember that quote from Willy Wonka? We are the music makers. We are the dreamers of the dream. So we want to get out of ourself, shift our identity to be that spiritual entity so that we can then start to imagine and feel the types of things we want to see reflected back in our life. Let's take the last card in this video and see what it is. Then we're going to sign it off. What's the third thing that we can use to maintain this identity shift from ourself to our spirit, or the third thing we can use to even get there? Let's take a look and see. The sacred journey. Oh my God, so good. That's really what we're talking about. The reason we are on Earth is to collect a lot of data. You can see that all by this these little swirly blue things here are just all little pockets of data, cells of data. Think about it like little files. We're here on Earth to collect a lot of different experiences, which are unique. They're going to be unique. They're different from everybody else's experiences. Yourself is unique and different from all the other selves in the world. And so as you're collecting those experiences, you are adding to the database of history, of his story. Who's he? His story, God's story. The immaculate one white light powers story of 7 billion different people collecting a whole bunch of different varieties of experiences. And as you keep collecting your personal experiences along your sacred journey, and you keep packing them into the world or interacting as your actual lovely, brilliant, unique self, then you are bringing this huge expansion of the white light into the world. Look at it. You're bringing all of these galaxies of white light, untangible stuff into the world. Boom, boom, boom. There it goes into the world. And you are making meaning. And all of that blue there is the communication back and forth of you and other people. We're all mixing it all together. And it's a beautiful, wonderful, spectacular experience. It is a sacred journey. Being alive on earth is a sacred journey. Think about it. God so loved the world that he gave his only son. Meaning, they're just words to point towards something. Think about it. Gave his only son, gave its only offspring, the consciousness, the awareness, and put it inside of mankind, men and women, everyone, so that they might accept the Christ within, and then be reborn, born in spirit, born a second time. That is why we're here on earth, is both to be born again and to collect a whole bunch of data that we can now direct. We want to do like the Bible says. Wow, a lot of Bible quotes today. The Bible says we're made to do good works for God. So once you wake up spiritually, once you shift your identity, go out and do a whole bunch of goody good stuff. Go help other people that are trying to do what you're doing. Maybe they're a little further down the tree of life than you. What? If you're a big YouTuber, right? Think about it. Try to find a way to help some of the smaller YouTubers. What? Why not? If they grow, then you go higher. Help the people that are coming after you, right? Take an interest in them. Take an interest in our children. What are you interested in, son of mine? Let them express themselves. Give them your ear. Watch them without judging them. And we can remove all this fear from the world as we go higher and higher as spiritual beings shifted into our true self, authentic self. So, I'm so glad you're on this sacred journey with me. You wouldn't be watching this video if you weren't. Hey, give me a comment below. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what questions you have. Let me know what you want to hear on this channel. Watch some of the other videos. Oh my God, there's plenty there on shifting your identity, on law of attraction, on spiritual card readings that help give you valuable information, overcoming emotions, things that you can do to help you better your relationships, increase your value as a person, and love yourself more and more. So goody good, good. Take care, and thank you so much for being here. Love, love, love you. Just do. Oh my God, so good.